All right, so I've been thinking about the movie The Matrix recently, and it kind of makes sense at the end of this video. But one thing I was thinking about a lot is the deal that Cypher got in The Matrix and whether or not you would take it. So for those who don't remember, Cypher is the character played by Joe Pantoliano in The Matrix, and basically Agent Smith offers him to go back to The Matrix, have his memory completely wiped clean of everything that happened, and he can be like a millionaire. He can live like a great life if he betrays the people, the protagonist. I forgot, the humans, right? And in the Matrix is seen as like a pretty terrible thing to do, but I actually think that looking back on it, and especially like growing up and being a little bit older, I actually think it was not just a good idea, but also the morally right idea. And I'm going to explain why in this video. But before I want to do like a quick diversion, and by the way, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of spoilers in this. This is a 25-year-old movie, so I don't care. Anyway, I'm also going to spoil this movie, Memento, because I want to do a quick tangent. Because I think if you've been following this channel, you probably know I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan, and I think that he did an absolutely brilliant thing in the movie Memento. So basically, Memento came out right after The Matrix did. It was in 2000. The Matrix was in 1999. And in The Matrix, Joe Pantoliano is the bad guy. Trinity is the good guy, right? And so one of the premises of Memento is that the entire movie you think that Trinity is the good guy and Joe Pantoliano is the bad guy, and then it gets switched on you, right? And so I think it was absolutely brilliant casting on his part to choose these two actors for these two roles, because in the wake of The Matrix, especially everybody who's going to see Memento has seen The Matrix. You go into this movie completely willing to buy that Trinity is the bad guy, and that Trinity is the good guy and Cypher is the bad guy. I just thought it was a brilliant choice by Nolan. I'm a huge Nolan fanboy, so I just wanted to put that out there first. Anyway, so let's go into the reasons why I think that it's not only a good idea, but like morally justified as well for Cypher to do what he did. So first, there's no informed consent for what happened, right? So, so Morpheus offers this red pill and this blue pill, but he doesn't explain at all like what it is or like what you're agreeing to, right? So basically, like he's asking you like, hey, do you want to know the truth of the world? And like people are just like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. And then you find yourself like, in this hellhole, and you're just like, wait, what is it? Wait. I never agreed to this. If I knew that this is what I was agreeing to, I would have never said yes, right? So I think it's not just consent that's important when you agree to things, it's informed consent as well. You need to know what it is that you're agreeing to, and it's very clear in The Matrix that Cypher had if you assume that he went through the same process as Neo, he had absolutely no idea what he was agreeing to. And so the idea that he would like betray these people who like lied to him to get him into the Matrix is not a betrayal at that point. He was the one who's betrayed by them, right? Second is that like not only that, like the Matrix, and they go into this in movies 2 and 3, and they make it seem as if this is an enlightened philosopher king council, but really like it's an oligarchical dictatorship, right? You're literally spending like if you actually think about what your life is in Zion, under in the Matrix, you're literally living under a dictatorship of these 15 people who get to decide every single thing that you do, right? All the people are forced conscription into their army of people fighting either in the Matrix or fighting against the robots, right? And you have no agency, no choice to do absolutely anything, and you're basically in a military for the rest of your life. This is like the society they paint is basically North Korea, right? Like, this sounds horrible. And, like, again, you're tricked into it, right? So, like, again, like, imagine, like, you are in like your world in like Manhattan in 1999, and somebody says like, hey, do you want to know like the truth of the world? And you're like, cool. And they're just like, yeah, like take this pill. And you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'll take this pill. And then you get knocked out and you wake up in North Korea, and you're like in a concentration camp in North Korea, like, you have no obligation to these people. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? These people tricked you and brought you into, like, the worst place on Earth. Like, this is terrible. And then not only that, like, life sucks. It's not just a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship for life sucks. Like, you can't even have good food. You're eating this slop every single day for every single meal for your entire life, literally running from robots who are trying to kill you. And you go into the Matrix and you spend your entire time running from agents who are trying to kill you as well. Right? And again, you didn't sign up for this. You had no idea what you were signing up for. So yeah, and then, like, the absolute worst part about this, and again, this is not something that Cypher knew at the time, but, like, I think retroactively, like, is an indictment of the fight. Like, if you actually, like, watch all the Matrix movies, and then you, like, watch the third, and then you even watch the fourth, right? Like, what happens? Like, what is the result of all of this bloodshed, of all of this death, of all of this destruction, of, you know, them destroying and rebuilding Zion over and over again, right? Of these people spending their entire lives in this, you know, Spartan militaristic society. What's the result of it? Is that the Matrix stays, everyone goes back to the Matrix, and it's just like, okay, well, we're just like a benign Matrix right now. Like, we're Matrix, but nice, right? But, like, the Matrix could have just been nice before, right? Like, what are the actual concessions that they got from the robots from this fight? Because remember, in movie 4, Keanu Reeves is in the Matrix again. He goes back into the Matrix, right? Everybody goes back into the Matrix, right? So, like, all of this fighting, all of this destruction was for nothing, right? And I think, and like, I think that this, like, speaks to the general, you know, ethos of the film, right? And the problem of the film, and the problem of, like, the ideology of these types of films is that they're all very destructive and not very constructive, right? So, like, the Matrix ends with, like, this, like, threatening phone call from Neo, and he's like, we're gonna destroy you, and then he, like, flies away, and it's all dope, right? But then, like, when they had to come up with, like, movies 2 and 3, they couldn't really crystallize, they couldn't really, like, make anything tangible about, like, what the actual critique was about, right? And so when it came time to, like, resolve the conflict, it became this, like, really abstract thing of, like, there's, like, a remainder and Neo's the remainder, and then now they have to, like, bring balance to the Matrix or something like that. Like it became a bunch of abstract gobbledygook that made no sense, and the reason why it made no sense is because the initial critique made no sense, right? Because it was literally like, you are living in, New York in 1999, and it's all an illusion. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the alternative? Oh, the alternative is living in a military dictatorship, eating slop all day. Oh, actually, like something that sounds fun for a little bit, but then when you actually, like, have to, like, make choices, it's bad, right? And that's why I think that a lot of people, hopefully, their attitude towards these types of movies changes when they become older, and you can kind of see who doesn't age out of this type of thinking, right? Because, like, there's still a lot of types of people in their 30s and 40s who, like, love this, like, oh yeah, destroy everything. But it's like, what is the plan for the next day? And it is clear that, like, while making The Matrix, which, by the way, is an amazing movie, I think it's one of the best movies of all time, but, like, they never thought what would happen afterwards, right? And so, like, well, what happened afterwards? Literally what happened before. There's no actual change, like, after all this fighting, right? So if you're Cypher and you kind of realize that, like, what is all this fighting about? And it's just like, why am I doing this? It makes sense to, go back in, right? And again, like if you think about it, like the world for the humans was pretty good. I actually should have chosen a different photo for this, right? Like if you remember, like there was that speech from Agent Smith when he was talking to Morpheus. It's just like we've tried so many different matrices, like, and then like it turns out that humans need struggle. That whole speech, right? Like if you think about it, like one way of thinking about it, and the way that they present it is, we've tried everything to enslave you, but you kept on revolting, right? Okay, that's one way of doing it, right? Another way of thinking about it is these machines spent all of their mental bandwidth thinking, how can we create a world for humans that they enjoy? Right? You literally have machines spending all of their time, all of their thinking, how can we make human beings as happy as possible, right? And so, like, if you think about, like, you know, this in, like, a modern, you know, perspective, right? Like, you know, this is very negative connotations because it's said in such a negative way, right? But, like, if you just, like, phrase it in a positive way, it's like, imagine if, like, you know, you got hooked up to a VR headset that was like completely realistic, yada yada yada. You know, you got fed, you got all this type of stuff. You got to live in a life of luxury in your VR headset instead of your, you know, current life here, and you had no recollection of that past life before, and you get fed, and like in return, like your body heat is used as like energy. Like, I don't know, that sounds like a pretty good deal actually. like what are you talking about? Like, I don't have to work. I could just chill. Anyway, and so, like, the reason why, like, I bring all this stuff up, and the reason why, like, I you know, think, you know, I've been thinking about this is that, like, you know, you have these stories, like, of, like, you know, former ISIS members trying to come back to, you know, coming back to the UK. So you had all these, like, you know, English, you know, kids who, like, left the UK to, like, join ISIS. And you see this all the time with people in the West, like, leaving to join, like, terrorist organizations. And it's like, you know, it's the same type of thing that kind of happens, I think, is that, you know, you have these people who, like, make these critiques of the West the same way that, like, you have people who make critiques, you know, in the Matrix, make critiques of the Matrix. And then it's like, okay, but, like, what is your alternative? Like, what is your actual plan that's different, right? And they never really come up with those types of things. I mean, we had a plan in the 20th century, which was communism, which was terrible, and you had the same thing happening, right? Like, it's the same dynamic, right? In the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, people defected from America, went to communist countries, and was like, holy shit, this is terrible, and then came back, right? But, like, no people who defected from USSR to America went back to the USSR. That never happened. Right, it only happened in the opposite direction. And you see this type of thing happening today, where, like, you have people who get really wrapped up in these, like, romantic ideologies of, like, resistance towards the West or radical Islam or communism or whatever, and then they actually, like, go join these organizations. It's just like, oh, it's not as romantic as that. Like, literally, you know, you're, you know, for a lot of women, they get married off to, like, some dude. For a lot of the guys, it's just like, oh, so you just eat slop all day and fight. And, like, I think that, you know, in the 90s and stuff, we had this, like, real, you know, angst towards, you know, towards Western society, towards capitalism, and we still have that angst today. But I think it's important to remember that, like, life is pretty good. And, like, you know, it's fun to, like, you know, like, watch movies where it's like, oh, like, you know, we're, like, destroying the status quo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, if you just, you know, and it's fun for the film, but, like, there are people who take these movies and turn them into, like, actual political ideologies and actually, like, you know, live off of them. And, like, I think that we need to push back on that because, we see what happened in The Matrix, like, in the actual film, and the actual, like, you know, progression of the film. It was like, we're going to destroy everything and replace it with what? I don't know. And that's usually what happens with these types of movements. So I guess the point of all this is, you know, these types of movies are fun, but, you know, as a sort of actual political ideology, like, these movies are kind of glorifying terrorism, and I think that we need to, like, pump the brakes on how much we glorify these films and, like, turn them into actual political ideologies, because it ends up being kind of dangerous. And I think, you know, my hot take is I think the West and America, and especially New York in 1999, was pretty great. And we shouldn't try to overthrow it, because what usually happens is people overthrow it with something that's far, far worse. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Oh. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on X.